Many Christians are concerned with their calling. What is God calling them to do with their lives? And this, of course, includes young people who are thinking about what type of career they may pursue. How can we as a church help them to develop an appropriate calling for their life? And I find oftentimes that young people think that the life of the mind is really not something that qualifies as ministry. Is that really the case? I'm joined today by George Haraksin, who is a philosopher and a Christian and a pastor, to help unpack that question. George, is it possible for intellectual pursuits to be a ministry? Can someone, by pursuing the life of the mind, be active in ministry?
Yes, completely. And I'm very, very passionate about that subject. I teach a graduate course that it's a degree known as intellectual leadership, and it's a class titled Developing the Christian Mind. And it's how do we think Christianly about any sort of topic. And so that goes to the issue of intellectual pursuits in all different vocational fields. And sometimes I've noticed in the church we use the term ministry, and that applies to just things that we do around the church. But of course, we are the church. If we're a Christian, we're the called out ones. And we're called to be ministers to the world. I had a staff member a while ago who was leaving staff and going to pursue a different career at the time. And she lamented, she said, "I'm sad to leave the ministry." And I told her, I said, "You're leaving pastoral ministry, but that doesn't mean you're leaving the ministry. You'll have a different vocational ministry. You will be an ambassador for Christ in just a different field." And I think it's important for people to remember that we are each a part of the ministry. There is pastoral ministry, but there's other intellectual ministries as well. Professors, teachers, different scientific fields certainly includes the life of the mind and intellectual pursuits. I had one person, I'm a little hesitant to tell the story because it makes me look good, but he was pursuing a graduate degree, and he came up to me one day. He said, "Pastor George, you're my hero." And I go, "My hero? Your hero? Hold on a minute," and I blushed a little bit. And he said, "You have taught me that I could be both a pastor and a scholar." And that really encouraged my heart. He was going to seminary, but he was told by someone at the seminary that he couldn't be both. And I thought that really hurts my heart. We are a part of a long conversation here in America, going back to Machen around the turn of the century, early 1900s, up until now, with people like Harry Blameyers, some contemporary Christians in that have tried to argue that we continue to need pastors who are scholars, but we also need people in other vocational fields who think Christianly about their fields, whether they are a chemist, in biology, whether they're a plumber, whether they're a teacher, whatever vocation they're in. We need to think through, how do we think Christianly about what we're doing? And that requires some intellectual skills and some virtues along the way. So I think the answer is yes, and it really is a robust question that people need to think through. And I've been trying to do that in the church, but also in academia as well.